Happy Valentine's to you.
I forgot to dress up.
Oh no, happy Valentine's. I mean, I did notice, but I didn't say anything. Frankly, part of me was like, maybe those are flowers on her dress. That might count, I guess.
No, they're polka dots. They're my jammies.
You got red nails. Happy Valentine's.
True.
Wow.
What the people don't know is I've been locked out of my own house for several hours.
yeah.
So I just needed to be out of my outside clothes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we are doing brought to you live, not live, this special Valentine's Day 2024. Here comes part 2 of our eulogy, late night edition, because Selena got locked out of her apartment at night and truly just had to sit in the foyer of her building for an hour and a half. I'm so sorry that happened.
Thank you. It was really terrible. Luckily, I wasn't out in the cold. I got into the building, just had to sit in the hall for a while, which that came in clutch. Thank God my neighbors came to the door because I'm not that nice. When I hear my doorbell being rung, I assume I wasn't expecting anyone, so I'm not going to get it. So maybe I should be a little nicer and maybe pay it forward and answer the freaking door every once in a while.
Yeah, karma's coming for you, bitch.
Welcome to Recovering Gleek, a podcast for all of your complicated feelings about the TV show Glee.
Welcome to your ASMR podcast.
Yes, welcome. It is late at night. We both have roommates. So knowing us, it might just go out the window, but we're going to try to cackle a little less than we normally would.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never cackled in my life.
That's so true. Frankly, I do cackle more than you. I am the one that needs to be more quiet. I do like this ASMR vibe because we are gathered here today for a very somber occasion, which is part 2 of the eulogy of our podcast. And guess what? We're still not done. There is going to be another part after this.
I know. We keep getting emails that are like, I'm so sad you're gone. And I'm like, we're not gone yet. We're not.
We may be on life support, but we're still hanging in there, bitch. You can't kill us that easy. We're still here. Frankly, I'm really getting a Glee second wind. My roommate today was like, I have to talk to you. And I said, okay. And I sat down and he just talked about season 3 of Glee and how much he loves the treble tones. And we talked about it for an hour. And I was
That's so nice.
Crap. I have to just restart Glee on this podcast.
Yeah.
But we are here for part 2 of our podcast eulogy. Thank you so much for coming. Hello, my name is Ian Allred. It means so much to see you here on the day of my daughter's funeral. I am and forever will be, in her honor, a Gleek.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for coming. There's some refreshments in the back. If you'd like, we're going to meet up to do a little song in a moment. It's not going to be hard. You can just come up with us and it'll be nice.
Ooh, what song?
Ave Maria.
It's not going to be hard. It's only in Latin and operatic.
But we're all going to do it. It's going to be sweet. It was her favorite.
She loved it.
She loved it. And then I'm going to take over and I'm going to sing. I'm not going to teach your boyfriend how to dance with you.
But an acoustic version, stripped down.
Of course. It'll be like, she's got 2 left feet and a bias moves. And my mom's going to cry. And it's going to be one of those things too that your cousins aren't going to understand. And they're going to be like, ooh, this is ooh, she's mourning weird. But everyone mourns differently. I love Glee, and I love my podcast, and I'm a Gleek.
Wow, thank you.
The vibe of these eulogy episodes are crazy.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
I'm into
all this funeral imagery.
I was gonna wear all black today, but then I remembered this is literally dropping on Valentine's Day, so I have to wear pink. But keep an eye out for future installments. Come on.
Come on now.
Wow, everyone, what better way to celebrate Valentine's than to talk about our Valentines, the characters of Glee?
Mm-hmm.
We thought that
My
this
sweet
would
special
be
angels. Kiss
exactly
on all their
loves
foreheads.
of our lives. Kiss, 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 mono to all of them. We thought this would be an excellent opportunity. Last week, we gave away superlatives, focusing mostly on songs, but on, like our bests and worsts of Glee. This week, we want to take some time, have a nice romantic candlelit dinner with each of our Glee clubbers and company, and really talk about their characters, what, they mean to us, what we liked about their arcs, maybe what we thought was weird. And then we played around with the idea of like best song per character. And then we realized we don't have the time or the money to dedicate time to doing that. So instead we're doing song association, which is I tell Lena a character and she just says what song most feels like that character without all the pressure of this is their best or my favorite. And then she does the same to me. And then we let it go and we release ourselves from, the strictures of this is their best song on the whole show.
It's just the one that comes to us in that moment.
I don't know if you guys know, but there were 24 people who were on this show billed as main characters during its run.
Jesus.
And we're also going to talk about some of the recurring characters as well. So we got our work cut out for us. We are not doing best songs for everyone.
And frankly, I don't think a lot of them have a best song. I'm just kidding.
Why did I just put a candy in my mouth right when I was about to talk?
I did it too.
Sometimes, it's a red candy. Happy Valentine's. But sometimes I
would join
love
you.
to just, thank you.
ASMR.
Complete it's for ASMR.
Come on, you guys.
It's so relaxing to hear me gnaw on one of those strawberry grandma hard candies straight into my microphone. Let me just finish the candy.
It's also like mine's an M&M that you can like chew and swallow.
I know. I picked literally the loudest candy I could.
It's like a lozenge.
That was insane of me to do.
Yeah.
But sometimes when people are grieving, they do stuff that seems insane and seems out of character and like they're not thinking, but everyone grieves differently. So maybe keep your opinions to yourselves, listeners.
Totally.
Sorry that I'm not grieving the way you want me to grieve. My gosh. Okay, this is going to be a long conversation, frankly. But the first person that is listed on this article I have up, just to make sure I don't forget any characters, is Lucy Caboose Quinn Fabray.
Quinny. Oh,
do we want to start with Quinn Fabray?
I think that's a good idea.
I think so too.
Wow,
Lena,
Quinn.
You're first up to go on a date with Quinn Fabray this Valentine's.
Wow. I have such a crush on Quinn Fabray, first of all. All right. How do I begin to talk about my girly Quinn Fabray? I love Quinn so much. I feel like, did you just put in another strawberry candy?
I figured you were talking about your love for Quinn. I wasn't going to be talking for a little bit, okay? I want to eat candy. It's Valentine's. I was giving you the floor.
You're nasty.
I figured I'm fine. I won't have to talk for a bit. Talk about Quinn. Talk about Quinn.
It was just funny. You were like... Excuse me. Okay, excuse me. Quinn. Ultimately, my feelings about Quinn are she is our like main queer baiter, right? I have like complicated feelings about her to Quinn, our motto, but I love her. I think the teen pregnancy storyline was like one of the pillars that this television show was built on. I'm gonna pay homage to our girl. It really was. But like after season 1, like her whole thing was the teen pregnancy, and then they just never knew what to do with her ever again. Everything that they put this girl through, I'm like, they really never like found their footing with Quinn ever again, which makes me so sad because I love Diana Agron so much, and I love Quinn as a character. Like, like the perfect girl, like the pastor's daughter, the role that she has been like made to perform, breaking that down, becoming like, you know, the bad girl, the girl who's pregnant in high school, the girl who like gets a Ryan Seacrest tramp stamp. Like all of that is so crazy, and they just never could find something to do with her ever again. And it makes me sad.
Yeah, I so agree. Quinn Fabray, I said last episode that my favorite plotline in all of Glee is Kurt's kind of like coming into his own, specifically related to his relationships with Bert and Karofsky. And I do think that's true. But I would say like maybe top 3 is season 1 Quinn. I think Quinn has the character arc of season 1. I think she is the most interesting character of season 1. She goes on the biggest journey. I just am obsessed with, although it kind of falls off in the back half because she gets shoved to the background, this journey of like very strict, frankly, evil, mean girl who's so self-righteous and judgmental, and then has this fall from grace, and how we see how that fall from grace humbles her and makes her a better person. And then we also, with learning about more of her life, understand why she is the way she is, and how she grew up in this home with an abrasive father and an alcoholic, like pushover mother, and how Sue has been essentially manipulating her all this time. I just think she's such a dynamic and 3-dimensional character in that first season. And like her becoming friends with Mercedes and then like moving in with Mercedes is really precious to me. It is so beautiful. I absolutely love that season 1 arc. And then, like you said, they just never, ever knew what to do with her ever again. And I think a big part of it is what Ryan has said in that interview. But he's like, I wanted her to be the Sybil Shepherd character in Last Picture Show, where she's a huge C word and has like no redeeming qualities, which is totally fine to have that in a satire. But it's like, how do you write a character? Like once you write a character and then have them go through what Quinn went through in season 1, you can't ever take that back.
No.
And I feel as if, I don't know this man, but I feel as if he really regretted doing it and just could never figure out what to do with the character. And there is stuff I like. You know, I think Quinn's desperate plea for prom queen in season 2 makes a lot of sense for her character. I think that's an interesting arc. I think her joining the Skanks is interesting, but nothing ever happens really, so it's disappointing. But I think like that's an interesting character. This is my big thought with Quinn. After season 1, all of the best stuff with Quinn, you have to fill in 60% of the blanks yourself.
Exactly.
Like, and I think like the fandom around Quinn is beautiful, and I think a lot of the stuff that people say about her makes a lot of sense, and they are putting together pieces in ways that make sense. But it is like most of this is never explicitly stated in the show. The writers are just making you do most of the legwork on your own because like they couldn't be bothered to flesh out this character more.
I mean, I read a book that is not confirmed like Quinn Fabray fan fiction, but I'm pretty sure is, at least in my mind, a Rachel and Quinn, a Fabry like fan fiction, like that's published. And like so much of that book is about this main character, the Quinn character, like feeling really stifled. And like I think about that book and I misremember it happening on this television show. You know, I'm like, oh, like that never happened. Like all this depth that I've heard from this girl wasn't from this girl. It was from this girl, you know?
And then they do weird stuff. She leaves the show after season 3 and she, you know, pops up every once in a while. And I don't know, because they take like 2 paths with Quinn where they both have her like regress back to who she was, which I think is a path that does make sense. She now is in an environment where people don't know that she had a baby in high school, and people like don't know that she joined the Skanks. They don't know all this stuff about her, so she can have like a last ditch effort to, you know, sculpt herself into how she wants to be perceived. But then they also take this path of like, she's experimenting and figuring out who she wants to be with like her sleeping with Santana and kind of just her sleeping with Santana. But I feel like they never fully commit to either of them.
Yeah.
And she just
and even
vanishes.
Like, her regressing and dating that one guy and then immediately Nate Archibald from Gossip Girl and then immediately getting back with Puck.
The worst plotline in the whole show.
Like, what on earth? And to me, that's like the laziest thing ever. Like, for the writers to do. They're just like, let's put a cap on this. Let's like just put her with Puck.
I literally will never forgive them for putting her with Puck. And we have said this before, and I stand by it. The Quinn and Puck relationship is genuinely something that is very special to me as a friendship.
Yes.
As we are two people who are bonded for life over an incredibly emotionally intense experience we shared as teenagers that no one else can understand. Yes. So for the rest of our lives, like, we've got each other's backs.
Exactly.
I love that.
Like, I'll bail you out of jail.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But like, we have different spouses.
Yeah.
We have different lives. We might be friends on Facebook. Like, if I see you in the grocery store, compatible. I'll cry. Exactly. But no, we're not going to be together.
Yeah. As far as like pros of Quinn, because I feel like we've talked a lot of smack on how she was written, I do like, it is an interesting character, someone who cares so deeply about how she is perceived and trying to control how people perceive her. And we see that obviously a lot with her original character, but then we see that with Prom Queen, with her like rejoining the Cheerios in season 2, and then her bid for Prom Queen, and then dating Finn, even though she doesn't really care about Finn.
Yeah.
And he's like so unhappy with her, but it's just like, he's the quarterback. And if I'm with him, then I have good social standing. And also we will win Prom King and Queen because like he's the it guy in the school. And then we even see it. Even like when she becomes rebellious in season 3, it is the most performative rebellion possible.
Yeah.
That it's like, I want you to see that I am like flipping the bird to social norms.
Totally.
And then like her getting hit by a car is so stupid. But her wanting to do this big moment at prom, which I don't think is evil like the show thinks it is, but it is very much she wants to be able to walk so that people at prom see her stand up and go, oh my gosh, Quinn did this great thing at prom. That's so special. Which once again, I don't think is evil. I don't know why Finn yells at her, but it is another moment of like Quinn is focusing on this goal because of what other people will think about her achieving the goal, not because like it's necessarily coming from her own heart.
I was talking to someone the other day about that situation, and they were like, she was like pretending to be paralyzed. And I was like,
no, she wasn't.
No, she wasn't. Like, where did this come from? That like they have written this to be like she was somehow being deceitful, that she was like gaining more mobility. Like, what on earth? Like, where did that come from?
There is a scene in that episode where she does guilt trip a girl to be like, vote for me, you know, I'm having such a hard time, which like, yes, is manipulative, but it is very much like the crime versus the punishment. She did genuinely get hit by a car. She did genuinely lose the mobility in her legs.
Yeah.
Is she being manipulative about it? Yes. But like, that is genuinely something that happened to her. And the way that Finn screams at her and is like, stand up right now. It's like, no, she didn't fake the accident. Yeah, she's milking it, but like, it's a real thing that happened. Why are we so mad about it? We should just be like annoyed and be like, that's kind of a selfish thing to do and not be screaming at her in front of everyone.
Yeah. Jesus.
Quinn Bray.
I know. Can you believe she had sex with Santana? Of course she did.
Crazy.
That was so fucked up of the writers to do that.
Here's something that we don't talk about a lot with Quinn. The Lucy Caboosey of it all.
Oh, because I forgot.
Something that gets brought up in one episode and then never addressed again. This girl had a full identity overhaul.
I feel like it's the writers taking me out back, stealing my lunch money, and then never talking to me about it again. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, remember that one time? No, I don't remember that. No, what are you talking about? Like, I was like very surprised, very weirded out. That was so crazy. It never brought up again.
And like, frankly, it makes sense to me that Quinn, like, it's not like crazy to me to be like, oh, this girl who's so obsessed with her social image used to be unpopular.
Herself.
Yeah. Used to be like unpopular and not conventionally attractive. And that's why she's so obsessed. What is crazy to me is that she changed her name. Like, I don't know why. That's so insane to me.
Yeah.
She was like 14. That is dedication. You fully changed your name.
Yeah, literally.
Lucy Quinn Fabray, come on. And her parents call her Quinn. I mean, knowing her dad, he would be like, yeah, you better get hot.
Totally. Yeah.
I fully support this like mental breakdown you're having.
It's like, you need to reject the Lucy and embrace somebody.
Yes.
Embrace somebody else.
Embrace the Quinn, baby.
Embrace the Quinn. Yeah.
Embrace the Quinn.
I forget about that. I totally do. And you know who else forgets about it? Everyone else, meaning the writers.
Yeah. Lena, when you think of Lucy Quinn Fabray, what song do you think of?
I never can say goodbye, boy.
That's a great one.
Baby, I never can say goodbye. No, 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 no. That's what I think. What do you think?
I think of the moment I wake up before I put on my makeup. I just love that whole number. And
of course.
The Unholy Trinity is much more an idea than an actual concept in this show. I mean, it's much more a concept than a tangible thing. They are never friends.
It's much more an idea than a concept.
It's just two synonyms.
Like,
but they are barely friends. They never speak. Their entire time in high school, they sing together 2 times.
Yeah.
And they are only all on the Cheerios together for like a total of 11 episodes, maybe, over the first 2 seasons. I think a little more than that. I think it's more like 13 episodes. But that number is maybe the only purely Unholy Trinity number we get in the high school years.
Yeah.
Because, like, Keep Holding On, Santana and Brittany are there, but they're not as prominent. And then every other number, they have graduated.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. They had this like fan favorite trio that was so iconic and they could not be bothered.
I know.
Ugh.
I mean, they do have that like moment in like their senior year where like Quinn chops all of her hair off. And like they're like helping
to solve all her problems.
Yes, they're like helping her.
Well, like Quinn and Santana, that's junior year. Quinn and Santana have a very deep relationship. They have many moments of friendship. They have many moments of being enemies. It's one of the most complicated relationships in the show. Brittany and Quinn are coworkers.
Yeah.
They say, "Oh, hey Britt, it's good to see you. How's your day been? Good. How's yours? Good. Do anything this weekend? Not really. Okay." And then they go to Cheerios.
Yeah.
They don't know each other's middle names.
No.
It's a shame.
Next.
We just talked about Quinn for like 17 minutes and I don't regret it.
No.
Is this going to be a multi-episode character discussion?
I think it can be.
It can be.
I'd rather take the time to do.
I agree. So just like to take the pressure of ourselves off that we have to talk about everyone today, it can be a multi-part. Because now that we don't have episodes left. Today? That's such a good question. We could do the original New Directions.
Let's do it.
And then move on to like adults and replacements on the next one.
Love. Adults and replacements. Okay.
Up next, let's talk about You Know Me, Love Him, gay icon Kurt Hummel. I
remember when we first started talking about Glee as a concept, you and I as friends, you've had some big opinions of Kurt.
Yeah, I was a Kurt Hummel, a bit of a Kurt Hummel hater at the time. Kurt was not in the show. He was written for Chris Colfer. Originally, there was no gay character at all, which is just like weird to me. I'm like, it's a show about outsiders in high school who are in the performing arts in 2009, and none of them is like gay, and that's why they are an outsider. Okay, bizarre. I had not seen season 2 and onwards since they aired, basically. And I remember feeling when I first watched it that Kurt Hummel felt like Ryan Murphy's self-insert fanfic, and that there was a lot of like martyrdom with Kurt. And frankly, watching it again, I don't think that's so far off the mark, but there's a lot of really amazing, beautiful stuff with Kurt that I like fully just wasn't paying attention to and valuing. I do think that like Kurt's relationship with Blaine is, I wish I could give myself the perfect boyfriend when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like Blaine is so boring because it's like the dream perfect boyfriend. And then I watching Glee originally felt like Kurt was a martyr in the sense that it was always like, oh my gosh. And frankly, I think part of it was internalized homophobia. But it was like, oh my gosh, Kurt's such a hero, and like, look at everything he's doing, and blah, blah, blah. Watching it again, I don't feel that way at all. I do feel that the writers realized that Chris Colfer was a very good actor and could cry really easily and really beautifully. So they put him through a lot of trauma that was unnecessary.
Just because he's so cute.
Yes. I think some of the trauma makes a lot of sense for the character. I think like him being bullied so bad he has to transfer schools, him winning prom queen as a mean prank. I think all of that like traumatic and hard to watch, but like that makes sense. And that is like fueling his story. And he is, you know, kind of a hero for overcoming that. Stuff like his dad now has cancer. Stuff like he gets gay bashed in New York for exactly one episode and then it's never addressed again.
Yeah.
Like, there's just a lot of stuff that we are putting this character through that's not necessary, that's not really fueling the plot, that just feels like we are just downpouring on this poor guy because Chris Colfer won us an Emmy and we want him to win us a second one.
Totally. Oh my God. The Emmy aspect, I think, is kind of accurate.
Yeah. I don't know, like Kurt. I don't know. I just feel like Kurt's such an interesting dynamic character. And then it kind of gets to a point in the show where all he is half of Klaine or the person that bad things happen to. And it's like early Kurt is funny and he's like passionate and he's thinking outside the box. He's doing stuff like doing a duet by himself where he's dressing as both characters because no one wants to work with him. Like he's always doing creative stuff and he's so cool and he is like so strong and stalwart. And then season 5 and 6, Kurt is like, he's so weepy and he just wants things to be okay with Blaine.
There is one thing that we have to talk about when talking about Kurt, and that is Vogue.com.
We have to, because that's when his identity was cut off.
I cannot believe they took Vogue.com away from us. Granted, it was not my favorite part of the show.
Yeah, same.
However, it was the thing that I think made the most sense for Kurt. He did love performing, but it just doesn't make sense to what I know of Kurt to let go of his like main passion, which is his passion for fashion.
Yes.
And like he has to just be around for Rachel. He had to be around for Rachel and like he needed to be more accessible to her and like an accessory to her at a certain point. And I was like, he can't have like one thing that's his own thing. I brought this up on the finale. Like, we can't have one of these characters do anything else. Working at Vogue.com right out of high school is not anything to freaking sneeze at. That's amazing. Like, that's a huge gig. And, like, it's just, he gave up his dreams. Like, what if Vogue.com was his dream? He can't do anything in, like, the fashion world? What?
I know, that's what's so frustrating is it's like, it's okay to not just have one dream. It's okay to be like, to find a new dream that you're passionate about. And literally the first spoken piece of dialogue we ever hear out of Kurt's mouth is him asking Finn to let him take off his designer jacket so that it won't get dirty when he's thrown in the dumpster. Like from his inception, he has cared about fashion. Yes, he has also cared about performing since his inception. But like, that's a core part of his character. Like you said, that's still completely true to himself. And it would have taken him in a new and interesting direction and kept him from morphing into like the parasite that was living off of Rachel's back.
Exactly. And the thing is, I don't know if I'd care as much if we like saw more compelling storylines from Kurt and Nyada. Like the Adam's Apples stuff, like missed me with that. Like, you know, even like
Pamela Lansbury?
Pamela Lansbury was actually, I liked Pamela Lansbury fine.
I mean, it just disappears for no reason. Right after
Exactly.
Elliot is like, I'm Kurt's friend and he's important to me, and then he disappears
He's never seen
forever.
again. Yeah, and I mean, I liked the like, you know, dynamic of the Blaine and Kurt turn academic rivals moment. Like that was fine, but like there just could have been so much fun with having him go in a different direction, and it just wasn't my jam. Him going in the Nyada direction, and I just think it brought more harm than good to his character, in my opinion.
I agree. I think the two worst moments for Kurt as a character are in Duets, when he becomes friends with Rachel, and in Swan Song, when he gets into Nyada. Because him becoming friends with Rachel then cuts him off of every other relationship he has for some reason. I don't know why,
God.
because there is 100% a world where Kurt and Rachel become friends, and he still is very good friends with Mercedes, and he still is very good friends with Tina, and we can still build out those relationships, and he still has like a compelling relationship with Finn, which weirdly also gets forgotten about after Bert and Carol get married. But he just becomes Rachel's GBF.
Yeah.
And Blaine's boyfriend. Although I feel it's more like Blaine is his boyfriend. But, you know, he's just like a relationship and Rachel's friend. We completely lose the Kurt Sadies of it all. And then everything you said about Vogue.com. That's a moment of him starting to become his own person and character again. And then he just gets cut back into the Rachel plot and gets lumped in with Rachel and Blaine for the rest of the show.
Gosh. Kurt Sadies. I will remember
Literally,
you.
Justice for all of Mercedes' friendships, because Kurt Sadies was iconic and it got cut off. Quinn Sadies was amazing. It's never mentioned again except for one throwaway reference in season 3. Unless we forget Tina and Mercedes being the gossips of McKinley in season 1.
Yes. Oh.
Something I am always upset. Maybe next we talk about Tina Cohen Chang.
Yeah.
That is something I am
when they're
always
drunk and
upset
they're laughing
about.
Together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Really fast, before we jump off of Kurt, unless we have more to say about Kurt.
I mean, I've said it before, and we can talk about it more when we even talk about like Bert and like Finn, but like the Hudsons are my special angels. I have a big soft spot for blended families. You know, these two learning to be brothers is one of my favorite things that I've ever experienced in any media. That's that. So,
heck yeah. Also, like, I talk a lot of smack about Klaine, and frankly, I stand by it because Blaine is boring in the beginning. I do think Blaine gets better as the show goes on, and also because Kurt loses an identity outside of that relationship, and I think that's a bummer. Yeah. But I cannot deny what Klaine did for queer representation in the media. And I cannot deny that there are really wonderful and beautiful and tender Klaine moments that I really, really love. So I do want to give flowers to that. And also just, I think Kurt's great. I think the journey he goes on from season 1, who he is, to like where he is at the end of the show, in the sense of like his identity and self-confidence is beautiful. Mm-hmm. What do you think of song-wise when you think of Kurt?
Rose's Turn.
Girl, that's my answer to Rose's Turn.
It shifted the fabric of my own identity. Like,
truly.
I I would like play the YouTube video over and over and over and over and over and like sing it with him. And like, I remember I bought it on iTunes. I like love it so much. It is such an emotional heavy hitter. Like one of my favorite like emotional beats of this show in terms of like the music. Oh my God. It's amazing.
I agree. I think it's one of the best placed songs in the entire show in the sense of like, let's take the lyrics of this song and make it apply to this situation. I also think it's a huge turning point for the character where it's kind of the moment where Kurt officially decides, I'm going to stop chasing after the approval of others and I'm just going to be me. Like, I'm over this thing. Everything's coming up Kurt. Everything's coming up Hummel. Everything's coming up Kurt this time for me. It is so, so good. And then sets him up to be the person he is in season 2.
Will you be Mr. Rachel Berry? Amazing.
All right. Are we going to Tina? Tina, they did you so wrong, Tina Cohen-Chang. We said the writers didn't know what to do with Quinn Fabray. The writers never.
No, they never even found any footing. And granted, I love Tina. There's so many aspects of Tina's character too that I identify with. I feel like I'm the resident emotional girl, so I feel like I have a kinship with her in that way. That's about it though, because that's all we know about Tina. No, but I mean, and we've talked about it a lot on this podcast, season 4, her hanging out with Sam and Blaine. I really like that stuff. I like when Tina's a bitch because at least we're seeing her on this television show. I don't know, even like her like having a crush on Blaine and then like making out with Sam. I don't know. I love this girly. I just wish we saw anything from her. I think some of my problems with her like stem from, they like can't talk about Tina ever without like making a joke about her being Asian. They like can't, it's just like what? Ooh. Huh? I don't know.
The journey this show goes on with Tina Cohen-Chang, she starts as the incredibly shy girl with a stutter in the beginning of season 1, then morphs into the school gossip in the like mid season 1 to end of season 1. Then she becomes the emotional girl of the club for seasons 2 and 3. And then she becomes the like bitter, angry, put upon girl for the rest of the show. And that's just her personality. That's not even the fashion phases this girl goes through. This girl is 10 different characters. And I think that could be fun and interesting if like it was on purpose and in the foreground and not just her slowly morphing as she gets one line per episode over the first 3 seasons of this show. I don't know. I've said it before. There's so many people on this show. They can't all be, in the forefront carrying the whole thing on their shoulders. I understand. But there is a difference between like this character is not like a leading player and like we don't even try. Like we make no attempt to give anything to this character. And I think the concept of like, frankly, I think Gossip Tina, here's the point I'm trying to make. Justice for Gossip Tina, I think that was such an interesting direction to take that character, and I think they should have stuck to it. She can be a gossip, and she can also be an emotional girly. Those two things can be true, and there is so much fun stuff you can do in other people's plot lines with a character who's a huge gossip. And then you can give Tina a ton of screen time. You don't have to like take away plots from the characters that you're more passionate about. But you can have so much fun with this character. And instead, much like how Kurt just became Klaine, Tina just became her relationship with Mike. It was just like any time the show needed a healthy relationship, they'd be like, I don't know, have Mike and Tina do something and then we'll ignore them again. And like you said, and like I've said, and like we always say on this podcast, say what you want about seasons 4 and 5 Tina. At least she did something.
Yeah.
I will take a girl who is mean and bitter, but is getting screen time.
Yeah.
Over the Tina who is saying one sentence per episode.
Yeah.
It also says something about this show that they don't know how to make a character more prominent without making them more unlikable.
You know, and I understand. I think it says a lot about Ryan Murphy and like his writing style. You know, he loves like a bad girl. He loves a bitch. He loves like the anti-hero.
Yeah.
But
and I'm not saying that like,
oh no.
Yeah, we're not saying that it like means the writers are bad people,
no,
but I agree with you in the way that he was like, I wanted Quinn to be Sybil Shepherd in Last Picture Show, that like his comedic sensibilities are sharper and cattier.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. He's a gay man who grew up in a very homophobic time where like your learned self-defense was to be catty at people because they were so rude to you. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense that a lot of the humor of this show is, you know, sharper on the edges.
Yeah.
What's your song? What's your Tina song?
I follow you deep sea, baby.
I love that song.
Me too.
And she starts crying like 20 seconds into it.
I know.
That, I think, in the entire course of Glee is the Tina offense that is the most hurtful to me.
Oh, seriously.
Like, she sounds so amazing on that song. Why couldn't you let her get at least like a minute and a half in?
It was so messed up. What's yours?
Mine is, that's my favorite Tina song, the one that you said. But when I like think of Tina Cohen Chang, I think of, that's a little crazy. No, that's a little Tina Cohen Chang respect hung up. I think that is maybe my favorite line she ever says. It's so funny. And that's when I start liking the direction they're taking the character.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not going to lie, there is something that is so funny about, I don't know, like a girl who wants attention and never gets it. And it's like, fine, I'm just going to be a huge bitch, so you have to pay attention to me. Like, I love her. That's a funny concept.
It is. Can we talk about how she ended up with Artie for like 1 second?
No, because I've forgotten about it and I refuse to acknowledge that it happened.
Great, let's move on.
No, talk about it.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't get it.
I think they came to an understanding when they were like, we have our Tuesday lunches, don't you know? Like, that they're friends.
Yes.
That they're friends. Like, in a similar sense of, though maybe not to quite as an emotional one, of like the Quinn and Puck have like an understanding throughout their lives and maybe can be like, you know, like civil and like friendly towards each other. I think these two have an emotional connection that is like, the one that like probably none of their like future partners will understand, but that doesn't mean that they should be together. I just feel like I know Tina and I know that she goes to college and like comes into her own and like does her own thing, and like outside of like this Glee Club's pressure on her, she can like thrive and meet new people and date other people. Like, if I had to pick like any character to not end up with someone who was in Glee Club, I would have picked Tina. Like, what?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so stupid. I don't know. And like you said, I do like Artie and Tina's friendship, and it is mostly, I think, inspired by Jenna and Kevin's real life friendship on set. Yeah. And it's tender to be like, oh, these people who dated and then it didn't work out, but then they realize that like they still like each other and they want to be a part of each other's lives. We don't need them to kiss us out of Rachel's house. Come on. What's the point?
What's the point? Please.
Let them be single or let them be dating someone that we don't know.
Put them in a throuple with a stranger. Something else.
Remember when she's at the wedding and she's like, Mike, let's also get married. What? Mm-hmm. These writers, the vendetta they have against this character, it's tragic.
Tragic.
It is tragic. Oh my gosh. That moment is brutal.
Brutal.
Why didn't she join the Trouble Tones? She was the most disrespected girl in that club.
I'll never
understand. She was
understand.
the most disrespected girl in that club.
She was dating Mike at the time, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that?
I mean, it's probably that, but I don't think they ever tell us.
And they never told us.
Of course they don't. They don't care. They didn't even tell us that she was adopted until season 5.
Literally. Oh my God, that was crazy.
They're like, oh, by the way, Tina is adopted and half Jewish. Didn't you know? Anyways.
No, you didn't tell us. How are we supposed to know unless you tell us?
Do you want to talk about Artie Abrams?
I do.
Artie Abrams. I was talking to my roommate about Artie today. And I was like, I feel like Artie's just such an interesting character.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the writers wrote a very specific kind of character and then cast Kevin McHale, who is kind of the polar opposite of who that character is, just like as a person, and then tried to marry the two. And I think Kevin is a good actor, and I think he could have. So for those of you playing at home, you know, I think Artie intentionally, the idea behind Artie, especially with like how he's styled and then what he does in the pilot, was Artie was going to be like the stereotypical nerd.
Yeah.
Like what you think of when you think of a nerd. And then Kevin is like pretty smooth. He's like very charismatic.
Yeah.
He was a former
like
boy
band
band member.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's got game. Like he just kind of exudes. He's like, exactly, like he exudes coolness.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I do think that Kevin could play a nerd, but I think the writers were just so taken in by his natural charisma that they were like, oh, let's kind of blend these two. And what comes out is like, not necessarily bad, but like such a confusing character.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's always so shocking to be like, Artie is the character that says like the most, not that Kevin McHale's like a misogynist, because he's not, but like the most Artie is the one who's like the most misogynist.
Exactly. He is always like making comments about the girls' bodies. He is always like saying things about like how women don't deserve respect or something. Not like that, but you know, he totally is. I totally see that.
Which I guess also like, that is kind of a commentary on society. I don't know if it's intentional, but on like the nice guy trope, to be like, just because someone's like a nerd doesn't mean they're not an asshole. Like,
hey,
they still
if that's
very well
intentional,
could be.
They're doing a great job, because I feel like I know a lot of them too, you know?
And I feel like some of that has to be intentional, like specifically Power of Madonna, when he is like so disrespectful to Tina. I think the reason they pick Artie to have that plot line is because who's the guy that we would least expect this from?
Totally.
Artie. And then it just like becomes part of his character moving forward from that point on. But yeah, Artie is really, he's got the Riz, like you said.
He does. I think, and Artie has some great plot points. I love Artie dating Kitty, frankly. That's maybe my favorite relationship that he's a part of. I love, thinking about like him dating Brittany too. Like his relationship with Brittany and like him dealing with Brittany, like cheating on him with Santana. Like obviously that's like tough to watch in the television show, but like it was good TV. Like him calling her stupid. I don't know. Like what even happens to Artie?
That's where I have pause. When you were like, I like a lot of his plot lines. I went, I don't think I could name a single Artie plot line.
No, you know what?
Oh, you're an Artie Abrams fan? Name 5 of his plot lines.
It's like, oh, he only had 3. And what I mean by that is I loved him dating Kitty, and I really liked the stuff we got to know, like with him and Brittany. But like even towards the end, like him like having sex with all these girls and like giving them all STIs, like whoa.
The phase of chlamydia, Artie Abrams. Something I really like about Artie is that he does not become a performer. He becomes a director. Mm-hmm. And I think, I don't know, frankly, I do think that Artie is pretty well utilized as a tertiary character in the first 3 seasons. In the sense that, like I said, there's so much stuff they could have done with Tina to support other people's plot lines if they didn't feel like giving Tina a plot line. I feel like they do that with Artie, where they decide, oh, Artie has this passion for directing. And so, like, Rachel in Bad Reputation is going to make some music video that makes her seem like a, sexy, naughty girl. Artie's the one who's going to make it. And then... they're doing a big musical. They're doing West Side Story. Artie's the director. Although him as that director is whack.
Yeah.
The things he says, he should have been expelled for making students have sex to be in a show. But like, that's how you do an ensemble show.
Totally.
Is how can these characters support each other's storylines so they're all getting shared screen time? So I really like that aspect of Artie's character. Frankly, when I think of Artie, I just think of like Kevin McHale, such an incredible vocalist.
So true.
That's like the main thing I think of. Because, I don't know, the show just only knows how to make these characters date each other. And so I do just kind of like think of all of Artie's girlfriends. And I do agree that I think him and Kitty is a fun pairing. But overall, I feel like pretty apathetic about his relationships.
Yeah. Totally.
But I just like think of his vocal moments and then his brief dancing moments, and I'm like, ooh.
Oh my God, the brief dancing moments. An interesting thing.
A crazy thing.
Yeah.
To cast, besides Harry Shum Jr., the best male dancer in the cast and say, you're the one who's not allowed to dance. Also, obviously, not a great look that this is a character who uses a wheelchair. This is a character who can't walk, and the part is given to a person who like is very able-bodied. Not a great look. And then also beyond that, just so ironic. Like, he is
and like,
top 2 male dancers on the show.
Oh, seriously. I think about like the Michael Jackson song that they did.
Mm-hmm.
When they're dancing together.
They were just doing fantasy sequence after fantasy sequence.
Yeah.
And I can't blame him. I loved watching it. I loved seeing him dance.
I know. And that's the thing is, I think the number that I think of that I don't think is my favorite, but when I think of Artie, I think of Safety Dance.
I think that's mine too, is Safety Dance.
Yeah.
Because that was the moment collectively as a society we all realized that Kevin McHale could walk, which I genuinely didn't know.
Yeah. No, totally, me too.
Until I saw like the leaks for that episode.
We were all talking about it at school the next day.
Would you say that that's your song association, is Safety Dance?
Yeah.
Because I would say that's mine for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a demon in me that wants me to say blame it on the alcohol, but it's Safety Dance for sure.
No, he kills it. He kills it.
He does.
Yeah. I think that Artie is what Tina could have been. I know I already voiced this, but the more I think about it, because I think of so many iconic Glee plot lines, and it's not like, oh, they're about Artie, but I'm like, but I remember Artie's part in this plot line.
Exactly.
Like, he was still involved in the plot line. And Tina, they really like...
Yeah. They're like, oh, she's just not there.
Not the case.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Who's next?
I don't know. Who do you want? You pick someone.
Matt Rutherford.
Honestly, let's hit it. Matt Rutherford got screwed over by this TV show. Mm-hmm. That actor, Dejan Talton, he went on tour with them. And then they wrote him out. so that they could have a plot line where they need a new member. I would never get over that.
Oh.
That's crazy.
I haven't gotten over it, and I wasn't even involved. It's so crazy to me. I understand. Season 1 was an interesting season. They were still trying to figure out their thing. They wanted to flesh out A, B, and C characters. It took some time to like flesh out what was going on in the world. These people were hired specifically to be dancers, per se. And then wasn't Dijon Talton the person who was like, hey, I'd love to be promoted. If you can't promote me, I'm not coming back?
No, that was Cord Overstreet.
That was Cord Overstreet.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to Dijon Talton? Did he just not want to be there anymore?
I mean, it's also possible that like it was mutual and he didn't want to come back. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But also like he went on tour with them. Like, that's what I can't get over. He went on tour with them after season 1.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anything I say is going to be, hearsay. But we do have evidence that they wanted a bigger role is Cord Overstreet, and that's why he's not in the beginning of season 3. Yes.
And that's true. I remember that. I really can't even think of a good my favorite Matt Rutherford moment.
No, my favorite Matt Rutherford moment is during To Sir with Love, when they're all saying how much they changed at the beginning of the year. And Matt Rutherford says, the beginning of the school year, I was just another football player. And it's like, you literally just described yourself
you still
right
are.
now.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you 3 things about you. The only thing I could tell you about you is that you play football.
Yeah. I do like in 2009 when Mercedes ignores him. That's funny.
Yes, that's very funny.
He's
and
like, hey,
honestly,
Mercedes.
Mad respect to Dijon Talton for coming back and doing that cameo. It is hilarious. And also mad respect to the writers because that is a deep cut and it's very, very funny.
It is really funny.
And him coming back and him and Mike doing the dance in I Lived. It was great.
I Lived, yeah.
Also, Santana's first boyfriend on Glee, Matt Rutherford.
True. She said she loves him. I'll never forget.
Yeah, she hugs him and says, I love you. Come on. Where's all our Sat shippers in the house? Matt Tana? What's going on, Matt Tana?
Woo-woo!
This is not a joke.
This lesbian and this stranger.
Dream, this lesbian and this man who doesn't exist. My dream is not to get a Matt Rutherford contract, but to get a Santana Lopez season 1 contract.
Yeah.
Which is, I am in an ensemble show that I really think is funny and good. And I am a character who is just there to fill out the world. And so I can make whatever character choices I want and the director won't care because I am not carrying the plot and I just get to say a funny thing every few episodes. Because Naya Rivera makes so many choices the first season just because she's having fun and they're hysterical. And then that's what morphs into Santana. Naya Rivera had such a huge part in creating that character because I guess we're talking about Naya Rivera next.
I want to.
Because she was just I can't think of a phrase to describe it. She was just throwing shit at the wall in that first season and having a good time. One that I have never noticed before. Big shout out to Gleek of the Week. Andrew was talking about in Wheels, season 1, there is a moment when Will tells the class, you are all going to be spending this week in wheelchairs. And Naya Rivera starts sobbing and Brittany leans over to comfort her. Stuff like that is so funny. That's my dream, is just making up a life, an inner life for this character who's getting 1 or 2 lines an episode.
Love that.
Oh.
As someone who's worked in an ensemble with you, you really do love that.
During Alice in Wonderland, had a whole story about my card and how he was in love with the Queen of Hearts and I kept trying to get her attention and flirting with her. But then he does a dance with the Duchess and then in the passion of the moment gets overcome and develops a crush on the Duchess. And then he's torn between the 2 women. And then when he has to because he is not in the final scene at the trial because I had to be Big Alice in the trial. So I decided that when he took Alice off to go to trial and saw how upset the Duchess was, it was like a kind of Jesus moment. And then he quit his job as the Queen's Guard.
Oh my God.
I had a lot going on.
That's crazy.
It was a whole 3-act play and I had 0 lines as that character. Santana Lopez. You want to kick it off?
I do. Her dad's a dentist.
My dad's a dentist. You know what, Santana? You are kicking it off. I'm so sorry. But you know what Santana quote I think of all the time that makes me laugh so hard? When Will tells the New Directions that his divorce has been finalized, and Santana goes, besides creeping us out, why are you telling us this?
I love this girl so much. And I think one of my favorite things about her is this person who is like so hard because of the things that she has been through and the ways that she has been taught to like hide her true self from the world. I love seeing those moments of her like genuinely very emotional. Like one of my favorite things about Santana is her like sobbing every once in a while, like her crying about being in like using the wheelchairs that week, or like what's that part with like Brittany like comforting her and she's like, everyone is just so ugly. Like,
is that Silly Love Songs?
It might be. I don't remember. But I just like this girl who is like exhausted like by keeping up this front all the time, and like inside she is just goopy and emotional. I love that part. And I love seeing that part of Santana. And also not to mention the representation of this girl who is like something more with her best friend that like she's too scared to even name. And then like her coming out to her family and then it's all okay. And then the stuff with her grandma, like I just love Santana so much, and I think she's like the most compelling character on this show. I think she's one of the funniest characters on this show. I think she is just a shining star, and I love her. There's like not much I can say negatively about Santana as a character, frankly. Like I feel like we've been pretty negative about, I can say negative things about literally all of the characters, frankly. And there's not much that I can say that I don't love about Santana.
Yeah. I think Santana Lopez is the best written character in all of Glee.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's characters I love so much. Like, Sue is so funny.
Yeah.
But, like, you got to suspend your disbelief with Sue a lot of times. And she's like pretty inconsistently written. Mm-hmm. Santana is hysterical. She is one of the funniest, if not the funniest character on the show. But beyond that, everything you just said, she is like maybe the only character in the entire show that is very consistently written.
Yeah.
I feel like nearly everything she does, I understand where it is coming from and why she is doing it. And it all comes from that thing you talked about, which is she has this very gooey center that she is so afraid of revealing to the world. And she also has this deep-seated hatred of herself that she's projecting onto other people and is just constantly has her defenses up and is attacking. I agree. I love me some Santana Lopez. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I don't even know, like, what else is there to say?
Yeah.
I love the storyline of, Kurt has this storyline of I'm gay and I know I'm gay, but I'm afraid to tell anyone I'm gay, which is an incredible storyline. I love the Santana storyline of I don't know what I am. I don't know. Sometimes I'm attracted to men. Sometimes I'm attracted to women. Sometimes I'm attracted to a bush. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then obviously we have, although it's very underrepresented, but we have with Brittany someone who is like genuinely bisexual. But then with Santana, it's like, no, she just has such deep-seated internalized homophobia and such a fear of what it means if she is gay that she is like forcing herself to be like, no, I have to be
like
straight because look at all the guys I kissed.
Totally.
Like, look at all the guys I hook up. How could a lesbian do that? Like, I am at
she's
least bisexual.
She's outwardly flirty. She's outwardly sexual. She is outwardly like dating all of these men, like trying to hide the fact like of her feelings and this like, you know, her heart in there that she won't let anyone see. And even like, you know, there's like a part with Brittany where like Brittany's like, you know, I think it's like the Lebanese part where she's like, I see the real you and I want you to see the real you and accept the real you as well. And like, I think they like frame it in the show as like her coming out, but I think it's way more than that. At least like from my watch of the show, that it's like you have Brittany who like is like the only person she lets her walls come down with. And that's just a little bit, you know, and Brittany loves her for her. And she knows that like this person is so much more than the facade that she shows the world. She encourages her to come out, but she also encourages her to like be herself and let people know or like show the world her heart, you know? I love them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. There's obviously, we talked about it. There's stuff at the beginning of the Britannia relationship that is like dicey.
Oh, dice.
That is like, Santana is like manipulating and lying to Brittany and it feels uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But overall, the dynamic between those two is so sweet and tender and just like, I think Andrew talked about it in our last episode in his little voicemail, that he was like, oh, they're going to be diving more into Britannia, two of the funniest characters. This is going to be a hilarious plot line. And then it ends up being so beautiful, and that like Brittany sees the good and the love that is in Santana, and Santana sees the intelligence that is in Brittany.
Yeah.
And they both like see this side of each other that other people don't realize is there. I think it's really lovely.
I agree.
Santana Lopez. And I like, she's got chemistry with everyone. She's like funny. Yeah. Like pair her with any character and it's a win.
I know. When they brought her to New York, I was like, thank God.
It's the best thing they did.
I can finally stay awake.
Seriously. I was like, I know, for real. Like I can finally bear to watch the New York scenes of this TV show.
I can't even remember who is on the phone, but someone is on the phone, but Santana's in the background, like reacting to everything they're saying. And she also does like,
Rachel is on the phone with Brody, and Brody says he's late because he's off somewhere.
And he's selling drugs,
and she's to snort coke out her hand.
When she's convinced that he's selling drugs.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, she saved this television show. Jesus.
She did. She really did. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
I love you, Santana Lopez.
Oh, seriously.
It also is... Quinn and Santana are so interesting to look at each other because they have a very opposite trajectory.
Yes.
And that Santana was just Quinn's crony and she would barely ever talk. And then by the end of the show, Santana is like one of the top 4 biggest characters, and Quinn stops in once a season.
Oh my God.
And I think a large part of it is that Santana could do that, you know, super bitchy thing that Ryan Murphy was all about. But also, I think it's just such a huge testament to Naya Rivera's charisma and talent that like you just couldn't ignore her. Yeah. Like you had to put more of her in the show because she draws your eyes and makes such big choices that are so funny, but also make so much sense and incredible.
Incredible.
What's your song association with Santana?
My first thought is Nutbush City Limits.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much fun there. Like, I don't think that that's my favorite number of hers, but it's just the one that comes to mind. So yeah, what's yours? I know what you're going to say.
Okay. I mean, like, Valerie and Adele, of course, are like, those pop up, and especially Adele because she's like acting.
Yeah.
Holy cow, I could write an essay about all of the subtext happening in that number. But just to like spice it up, what's another one that I think of when I think Santana Lopez? Suddenly, I don't remember anything that's ever been sung on Glee in its whole run. I think of her going, I want your love and I want your revenge. That was like, yes, she sings in Like a Virgin, but that was the first time that I remember being like, oh my
also,
gosh.
Michael Relly was ill the day the earth stood still.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Really, the Glee version of Bad Romance is so good.
So good.
I cannot put it into words. It's amazing. When they're all like punching the ground during the last chorus.
My God.
Come on. Obsessed. Obsessed.
Oh my God. Can't believe it. I love that
Do you want to talk about Britney S. Pierce next?
I do.
Great.
Britney S. Pierce, my angel. I love Britney. I have a big soft spot in my heart for Britney, mostly because I feel like I'm like the Karen of my friend groups. I'm the Britney of my friend groups. Where like sometimes my mind just doesn't work like everyone else's. So I'm like kind of maybe playing catch up in moments or like talking about something completely different. And I don't know. I really love Britney so much. I love that she is, you know, I like the stuff of her going, where does she go, to MIT? I think people hate that. And I love that. I don't know. I love Britney. I think she's the funniest character on this show. Like, I can't stop laughing at her, like thinking that she's pregnant because a bird is making a nest like in her window. I just love her. I love Britney. I think Fondue for Two is one of my favorite things ever. I love Britney. I like that she's president for 2 years in a row. I think towards the end there, they like don't know what to do with her or Santana, which that makes me sad. Like even like Britney being around for another year, like failing her senior year and then sticking around for another year. I'm initially like excited about that. But then like, what did she do that year? You know, like what fun did she have that semester or that year of school? She
dated Sam.
True. But like, you know, I don't know. I feel like they stopped knowing what to do with her after a while.
My feelings with Britney are, and I've said this on the podcast, Britney, first and foremost, I love Britney. Some of my favorite lines in this whole show are Britney lines. I think Heather Morris is so talented, and much like Naya Rivera, the reason that Britney became a bigger and bigger character is because Heather Morris was such a smart actor and was making such amazing choices that she couldn't be ignored. However, Britney's appeal at the beginning of the show was, we have no idea how this girl's brain works and how she is making the connections that she's making. She's operating on another plane than anyone else. And that is an amazing character. Some of my favorite characters in media are that, where it's just like they're operating on a different plane and they just see things in their own way. But I feel like those characters only work really well when they are supporting. Because in order for a character to lead a storyline, you as the audience need to connect with them. And the whole conceit of a character operating on a different plane is you can't really connect with them because you don't understand how they're getting from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. So then when they are leading the storyline and you're like, what are we doing here? That's why I think Britney, for me, fails in season 4. Because actually she has a ton of screen time. But I think she has more screen time in season 4 than any other season. And yet, if I were to think of like what are my favorite Britney stuff, I'd like hardly remember season 4. Because it's all the stuff like, I don't know. I remember like All or Nothing. That's the episode where she gets into MIT. I think her getting into MIT is like camp and fun. And I also like the idea of Britney isn't stupid. She just sees things a different way. And she's actually very intelligent. She's just a different kind of intelligence so people don't recognize it. I like that idea a lot. But I remember that episode is like a hard watch for me because it's so like Britney A-plot focused and it's just like confusing and weird and feels disjointed. And it's also like, here's a character who is purposely written to be one-dimensional, and we are now trying to force her to have 3 dimensions, and it feels like jarring and weird. I don't know. That's why Britney fails for me as the show goes on. But to speak of the highlights of Britney, I really enjoy Britney. I love her becoming class president. That's probably my favorite Britney plotline in the entire show, is her becoming class president. And like, her campaign is just like, I'm cool and I love unicorns and I'm a feminist and I love to dance. And then her doing nothing all year until prom and being like, I'm so sorry I failed you, but I'm going to do a dinosaur prom to make up for it. That's all hysterical. Yeah. I love that. And it feels so true to the character. And like I said, she's got some of my favorite jokes in the whole freaking show.
Yeah.
Season 2, when JBI is interviewing everyone and she says, a lot of people thought I went on vacation, but I actually spent the entire summer lost in the sewers. Incredible. But once again, that's a funny line.
Yeah,
because we know so little about Britney.
We can't confirm or deny that she was actually there. Exactly. Totally.
Yeah. And then once we focus on her more and more, we lose the most appealing characteristic about her, which is, I don't know what's going on with you.
Yeah, totally. I get that. Like, she has to be like kind of an illusion. She has to be kind of a mystery. Yes. Yeah. My song association for Britney is Who Run the World Girls. There's so many fun Britney songs, but that one in particular, I remember when it happened. Another song I watched on YouTube like every day for like 3 years straight. Every time I hear and I cut my check in like any version of that song, Britney S. Pierce or Beyonce, I always do the check dance move where like, you know, she just makes a check mark with her hands. Oh my, or her arms, pardon me. And oh my God, it's just so amazing. I think there was a time I like knew the whole dance. I just love it. What's yours?
That's also mine. Enough cannot be said about Heather Morris's dancing ability. It's insane.
Hello.
And that number is so fun.
It makes me emotional.
It's probably my favorite Britney plotline in the entire show, and just her stomping through the halls of McKinley High, being like, "I'm gonna be class president, girl power." Obsessed.
Even like Santana standing up, being like, "You'll do anything for me." Like, like what's happening? That song is crazy.
It's so good. It's so good. I'll do a special shout out. I love her duet with Marley, Tell Him, in season 4 when they're on the blue dresses. It's also nice because Heather Morris is an incredible dancer. It's a very fun, different kind of choreography than we normally get from Heather Morris. And of course she kills it, but it's fun to like see a different side of her. I also think she sounds fantastic on that song. We should talk about a dude next because I realize we have talked about like...
I'm sorry, they're also boring to me.
No, just kidding. But do we want to keep all the men until the end is my issue.
Oh, no.
Exactly. We got to get some of them out of the way. Hear me out. Do you want to talk about Puck? You do because we're talking about Puck. Do you want to talk about Puck?
I do. Listen. Puck, again, has some of the funniest lines on this show. Like, he calls Abraham Lincoln Abroham Lincoln. I still have not called. I say that constantly. I'm always saying Abroham Lincoln. I like Puck fine. I don't know. Like, what does he even do? Dates a teacher? Dates a closeted lesbian?
I can swoop in and I can take over this Puck conversation. He does so much in this show.
I can't remember.
I want to shout out my favorite Puck line, which is when Will accuses him of writing the Glist. And it goes...
Oh my God, the Glist!
Yeah, and he talks about how he didn't write it. And I'm mad at whoever wrote that because they put me as number 3. Number 3? As far as badasses at the school goes, I'm number 1. I love that line.
I'm number 1. That's a good one.
Puck is a character.
Damn.
We separate on this show. No. I'm like talking to the audience. We try to separate character from like real life. And during this rewatch, I did realize that a lot of my opinions of Puck got tainted because of real life. Because when we started this podcast, I was like, and Puck, and I hate Puck, and Puck sucks. And the more episodes we watched, I was like, do I actually like Puck as a character? My liking of Puck as a character does end when he graduates, because I think everything they do with him after that is wackadoodle.
Whack.
But I genuinely really like Puck as a character. Sorry, kids. As far as badasses at the school go, I'm number one. First and foremost, he has, of the men in this show, maybe like the funniest lines of anyone. Tragically, I think the delivery is lacking most of the time.
He's not a great actor.
No, but like these writers know the type of guy that they are making fun of, and they know him well. Like they are so specific, and so like I knew this guy in high school, and it tickles me like crazy when he has the dream about Rachel.
Yes, how he doesn't know how she got up
because she's barefoot, and then he says, Rachel was a hot Jew and the good Lord wanted me to get in her pants. Like, that is hysterical. That's so funny. And that's, I think, is a big thing with Puck, is like, they are frankly punching down. Like, these writers do not think that Puck is cool. No. They are like, this is the dude who was so popular in high school because no one realized that he was the biggest loser there. And he is, there's a line in season 1 where Quinn comes up to him and she's like, what are you doing this weekend? And he goes, oh no, probably what I do every Saturday. Just hang out outside the 7-Eleven and wait for someone to buy me a beer. Like that's like such loser behavior. I just think it's hysterical. But then beyond that, he's great. I'm sorry. Puck apologist. Obviously, once again, we're ending it at season 3. I'm not going to speak, like, I'm not going to defend anything he does after. And then even before season 3, the relationship with Shelby is yo. And then the stuff with how Quinn got pregnant is real bad. The fact that, like, he got her drunk, that's very bad. Very bad. He's a hilarious character. And also, I think they do a good job of making him three-dimensional. I think they do a really good job of, over the course of the show, specifically in season 3, showing how affected he was by his dad abandoning him. And I also think that's very true of guys I have known in my life who are like Puck. I have learned quite a few of them have daddy issues and are hyper masculine and hyper macho to make up for the fact that like they didn't feel good enough for their dad, which is so tragic. And I love, frankly, my favorite Puck plotline, although it has one of my least favorite numbers in the whole show, is in season 3 when he's like not going to graduate high school. And he's trying to act like, well, I'm such a badass. Who cares? I don't need to graduate high school. But it is all a front because he's so embarrassed that he's like, quote unquote, not smart enough to graduate high school. And then the way that all the guys in the Glee Club like team up with him and tutor him and are like, no, this is fun. Like we're being bros hanging out and doing this. And then they sing the worst rendition of the My Fair Lady song ever. But like, that's really tender and really nice. And a plotline I really, really like.
No, I agree.
And there's also that moment where like he runs into his dad. Am I making this up? He like runs into his dad. Oh, his dad comes back and he is so excited to have his dad come back. And then it turns out his dad has come back to ask him for money. And he has that moment of like, I literally have spent my entire life trying to be like macho and cool enough to impress this dude who is such a deadbeat. What am I doing with my life? I genuinely think Puck has one of the best arcs of the first 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And then it all goes to season 4.
Doesn't it just?
And he also like goes from, you know, he goes from being so homophobic and being a huge bully to defending Kurt and being the one who's like, if we need someone to wear a dress at nationals to win, I'll wear the dress. I don't care. Obviously, that's one of those things where it's like, I see what your intention is, but the way you're going about this is problematic. But also, I like that. Because if Puck were to suddenly know the exact appropriate way to be an ally, that would feel so cheesy and untrue of the character. I like that it's his heart's in the right place and he's trying. And we're going to help steer him in the right direction, but he's really trying.
Yeah. I really like when, Quinn is closer to giving birth, that he just shows that he is there for her emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
When they're standing at the window, looking at Beth. I don't know, that part is really tender and beautiful to me. So I love that part. I also like when he dates Lauren.
Shelby Corcoran.
Not Shelby Corcoran.
I'm being an asshole.
Shut up. No, I like when he dates Lauren.
Yes, I also love when he dates Lauren.
I loved when Lauren was on this show. Jesus.
I know. Lauren Zeis's our girl. She was so cool.
They were fun.
One of my favorite things about Puck is the moments of his heart being in the right place, but him going about it in an incredibly inappropriate way. Him trying to prove to Quinn that he could be a good father and could provide for her family by putting pot in the baked seal brownies. So that they sell a bunch. That's so funny.
So funny.
And they do that all the time with his character, and I really genuinely sorry everyone, I like Puck. What's your Puck song association?
Oh, I'm nervous. When you said The Rain in Spain, I was like, that's gonna be at the forefront of my mind. No, I'm thinking, in the time of chimpanzees, I was a monkey. Butane in my veins.
We are so on the same wavelength. Absolutely. Really. Loser by Beck. Incredible cover. Incredible
I'm a
scene.
loser, baby.
What could have been if they kept Finn and Puck working at Sheets and Things in season 2?
What I would trade to have gotten that television show.
Seriously.
The buddy cop comedy that is Puck, Finn, Howard Bamboo. Oh my God, and Terry.
And it's such an organic way to keep Terry, Howard, and even potentially Sandy in the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Such a missed opportunity. But yes, I agree. Loser by Beck.
So good. Who's next?
All right. Do we do another dude? I think we should probably do another dude. Finn's such a heavy hitter. Maybe we do Mike Chang.
Mike Chang. I love Mike Chang. I think everything I learned about Mike Chang makes me love him more. My biggest thing with him is I want to know him more. Asian F is one of my favorite moments ever. Or the episode just before when is that Asian F when he auditions? When he sings Cool?
He auditions.
Oh my God. Yeah. Get out of my face. Him deciding to put himself out there in that way and perform in this new way where he has been, the thing that we've known about him is he can't sing, and him taking singing lessons and then singing Cool, and he's facing all of this pressure from his family to do well in school, and he just wants to I know, Cool is such a great song for that feeling, and they do such a good job with him in that way. And I don't know, I love Mike Chang. Oh my God, I can't even get over how much I love him. I just wish we knew more about him, or they didn't make so many Asian jokes at his expense, or it's just
That's my big thing with Mike Chang is I look back at Mike Chang's time on this show and I'm God, there were so many Asian jokes.
Yeah.
I'm so glad Harry Shum Jr. is having his moment now and is all over movies and is on Grey's Anatomy and all that stuff. He's so talented. He was in
an Oscar-winning movie. Jesus.
Heck yeah, baby. Rakakuni. I love him on this show, and I am very grateful for the Mike Chang that we got because they could have Matt Rutherford him,
Yeah, they could.
At least they kept him around and did more with him. But I agree. I really wish we had gotten more of Mike. I think he's a cool guy. I don't know. I like, frankly, Mike's like Tina, where he just was there to be the healthy guy in a healthy relationship. And that sucks so bad. His kind of only plot line is the stuff with his mom and his dad, which I do think is compelling and interesting. That's like the only plot line he really ever gets.
Yeah.
And that's such a bummer. He
Such a
mostly is
bummer.
just there to be an amazing dancer. And he sure is.
He
and
sure
I love
is.
to see it.
Yeah.
Like, even he comes back to choreograph Grease, and I still am like, does he like say lines? Or does he just do the hand jive?
I can't even remember.
He's the dark horse, the ringer of the New Directions. He's their secret weapon. He's the one that doesn't get the spotlight very much, but he's holding those routines together. He is selling
Exactly.
it big time.
And that's so true. He has so much screen time on this show for someone who almost says no words. Like every number, every group number, he is front and center, killing it. Every time they don't want to show you anyone else not doing the choreography as like perfect as he is doing it, they put him on the screen, and it makes me like catch my breath. I love him.
What is your Mike Chang association song?
So I think it's cool, but then I also thought it was Sing, but then I think it's Valerie.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I was like, he's a singer for sure, but then he's like, there's so much fun on the show. Or the song he sings, he performs the Singing in the Rain song with Will in The Dream. Make 'em laugh.
Oh, yeah, make him laugh.
Oh my god, I don't know. What's yours?
Weirdly, it's Scream.
Slay!
I just always picture him and Artie in the like rubber suits in black and white.
God, what were they even screaming about? I don't remember.
I have truly no memory.
What were they so
the
pissed
context
about?
of that song is. I have no idea what is going on in that song at all, but it's the one I think of when I think of Mike Chang.
It's a good one. I like it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Who's next?
Mike Chang.
Mike Chang.
All right. Now we are like pretty into heavy hitters. Let's see. Who have we not talked about? We haven't talked about Finchel.
Mercedes.
We haven't talked about Mercedes. We should do Mercedes. Mercedes Jones never gets her due. This is crazy to say because there are so many characters that get way less screen time than Mercedes. I think she's maybe the most underutilized character in the entire show.
Yeah.
Amber Riley's talent is so immense. Yes, Mercedes is like having plot lines on this show. Yes, she is like singing songs. But I really am like, they did not appreciate what they had in this performer.
No.
She is a like real triple threat. She is so incredible. And I think part of the reason that Mercedes is underutilized so much is one, they love Rachel too much and she has too many similarities to Rachel. And so they're like, well, the diva thing is like Rachel's thing. So we can't like do too much with Mercedes in the diva thing because like it's Rachel's thing. I also think part of it is that the show just doesn't believe in developing friendships because Mercedes is the character I feel like who is maybe like the most well-connected friendship-wise.
Yeah.
In the sense that she is very close with Kurt, in the sense that we are given a lot of hints that she and Tina are best friends. She becomes very close with Quinn in season 1. She and Rachel end up like having a lot of friendship moments together. Like Mercedes Jones is like a friendly girl and the writers just don't know how to write that.
Yeah.
They only know how to put these kids in
That's
relationships.
such a good thought. Like, they do not know how to write friends.
Yeah. And so once, they decide to pair with Sam, then great, they have something to do with her. But before then, they have a really hard time figuring it out because, I don't know, they just can't have a girl be single. My gosh.
I mean, this is just my opinion. I wasn't there. I do think sometimes they send Mercedes to the background in service of Rachel. Like,
oh yeah,
like they
absolutely.
can't give her too much to do because she is that big of a star that she will take away from their darling Rachel Berry, you know? And it's just so crazy to me that like, I see that written into the show. I see that weaved throughout the show. Like in 2009, where Terry is like, pick the one you feel worse for. Like, essentially, like, telling us why Rachel's been the star of the show the entire time rather than Mercedes. And, you know, it's just so hard to watch this amazing superstar be, like, ignored for 6 years. You're right, she has stuff going on, but, like, they just, like, won't let her be friends with people. I don't know.
I agree. I think a big part of Rachel's character in the show that the writers is like so important to the writers is Rachel is difficult, but at the end of the day, the Glee Club lives or dies on her shoulders.
Yeah.
Like, it is so important to them that it is clear to us as the audience that, like, she is their secret weapon. They need her to succeed. But in reality, not slamming Rachel's talents because she is so incredibly talented, but it's like Mercedes is also, like, just as talented. And so the writers, if they were smart, would realize this and realize, okay, well, there's plenty of other very compelling stories that we can tell about, like, these two girls who, you know, are trying to navigate fighting for the spotlight and then also, like, a friendship with each other, and they can, like, be co-leads of the club. But instead, what they do is constantly hammer home, yes, Rachel's a diva, but she is a harder worker than anyone. And then they have to constantly drag Mercedes through the mud and be like, oh no, but you don't get it, because the reason that Mercedes isn't the lead is because, like, she's so lazy. The reason that Mercedes isn't the lead is because, like, she has a bad attitude. It's because, like, she can't bother to try anything new. Like, I think of in Funeral when they have the auditions and Jesse St. James says all that stuff about Mercedes that, like, canonically in the show is now true about her, like, you know, refusing to change her opinion on things and only doing stuff that comes easily to her and not pushing herself. But it's not actually, like, it's only true because the show says it's true. Like, it doesn't have to be true. And it's just, and they do the same thing with the, like, Effie White moment in Asian F. Yeah. Where it's like Mercedes is just, you know, she just doesn't work. She doesn't care as much as Rachel cares. And it's so frustrating. It's also, like, not a great look to be like, our one.
Oh my God.
Our one lead black woman is lazy and has a bad attitude.
Like, honing in on really harmful stereotypes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I truly feel like it's because they feel the need to justify why Rachel is the be-all and end-all of Glee Club. I think the best they ever do with Mercedes is the West Side Story Trouble Tones plot. Like, I really, that moment when they offer Mercedes joint leads with Rachel as Maria, and Mercedes says to them, like, no, I deserve to have it by myself. Look me in the eyes and tell me that she did better than me at that audition. And no one can do it, and she storms out. I love that plot line. And I don't know, because part of what I like about Mercedes is that she's nice. Because so many people in the show are not nice. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to take that away from her. That's the thing I like about Mercedes is she's nice. And she only becomes a quote-unquote diva when it is like, I am really being overlooked here, and if I don't scream, no one's going to listen. And I think that's kind of the whole Trouble Tones plot, is like, it has been 2 years and some change, and I have done the nice thing, and I have been a team player, and I just watch Rachel get everything she wants because she's annoying over and over, and I get overlooked because I constantly bite my tongue and be a team player. So I'm done being a team player. I'm going to speak up for myself. And then they still don't listen to her and she starts the treble tones. Like, I really think that plot is fantastic. Tragically, it ends with her just becoming part of the New Directions again. But I do have to acknowledge there is that caveat where Will is like, you're right, and the treble tones will get a spotlight number in every competition, and then they do hold true to that. So at least that happens.
The treble tones.
Some other stuff I really like about Mercedes, which are the ways that differentiate her from Rachel, is Mercedes, as I said, at her heart is a very empathetic and very kind person, which I really like. The diva is just when she's threatened. And I really love, which once again, what was the point of Joe Hart? We already had a religious character. I love that Mercedes is a person of faith. I really love that she is a person. We have a character on this show who their faith is so important to them and who they are in life without the show making a joke of it, and also without it being the only thing that is like noteworthy about the person. It is like so a part of who she is, but the show doesn't feel the need to be like, and now Mercedes talks about Jesus. I just think that's like very rare on television. And it's really wonderful to see in this character. And those moments we get where we see her in her element in front of her congregation singing are like some of the most special Mercedes moments in the show.
Totally.
And I also like the stuff with her and Sam in season 5 when she's like, here's the deal. I have this commitment that is very important to me. And like, I love you, but like this commitment is a priority. And if you aren't willing to wait until marriage to have sex, like, sorry. Especially because this is a show that is so sex positive, which I think is a good thing. Yeah. But to like show a different perspective and show it respectfully, I think is really lovely.
I agree. I also think like with her being a religious character, I find like sometimes with really Christian characters on television, they can be harmful to others in a certain sense. Like she is never, not once, at least I'm not remembering, but I don't think she's never like homophobic to any of the characters. She's nothing but like accepting of others and their like their views. I don't know. I love that about Mercedes. I think she's like, you know, a great example and really beautiful, you know?
Yeah. No, I'm a Mercedes Jones fan. It's just like, couldn't we have gotten more from her?
Oh my God. And I mean, don't even get me started on the Sam Sadie's of it all. Big Sam Sadie's shipper. And I mean, I appreciate the way it ended. And I appreciate hearing that Amber Riley really just was not going to have... She was like, I'm not going to have sex with any of those boys on that show. Like, you can't make me. And good for her.
Did she say that?
I think we got an email about that. Someone said that she was in an interview and she was like, yeah, you can't make me. I'm not going to do that.
That's like Mercedes specifically, and maybe this is just me having a mental block. I think season 3 treats Mercedes pretty well. I do think it could have treated her better, but I think season 3 treats her pretty well. But like, and then like season 1 definitely could have treated her better, but I can still like think of a lot of like really great Mercedes stuff. Like when she joins the Cheerios. Oh my gosh. Anyways.
Oh my God. I forgot.
Kurt Sadie's on the Cheerios. Why was that done away with so quickly? That was such a good idea. The moment in 4 minutes when like Will Schuester is blindsided by Mercedes and Kurt coming out, soloing, like leading this number with the entire marching band of the Cheerios.
Awesome.
And then they actually
also win
out of
nationals.
Character. And out of character for Glee, they actually do a pretty good job of carrying the plotline through the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And have little fun like moments and B plots about them being on the Cheerios. I just wish so much that stuff like that had carried over. Let these characters exist outside of their relationship to Rachel Berry. Please, they are so much more interesting than just being her pawns. It drives me crazy. But like when I think of Mercedes in season 2, literally all I can think about is the Tots plot line where she's like, her being like using food to combat her loneliness.
Oh my God.
What? Is there other stuff in season 2 that I'm forgetting? I can think of like moments. I can think of like Night of Neglect and she sits in her car and Rachel has to go comfort her. But I can't think of like
also she plays like Frankenfurter.
Mm-hmm. Mm. But does she have any sort of arc in that season?
When does she date Shane?
She dates Shane in season 3. Oh, she gets with Sam in season 2, but it's like right at the end. It's like right at the end. It's like hinted at in the finale pretty much. Was season 2 that dirty to Mercedes Jones? Literally, I'm looking through Mercedes' arc in season 2 on Glee Wiki. She has no plot line that lasts more than one episode. Like, there's no overarching anything for her. She's got like a few moments. She has like the Tots thing. She has Night of Neglect when she, gets all angry and she sits in her car. She has Comeback when she and Rachel sing Take Me or Leave Me. Like, she has some moments. I do think is season 2 Mercedes' worst season, as in like how she's treated. That really sucks, girl.
That sucks so bad too, because that's like probably like Glee's like one of, if I'm not mistaken, maybe like most watched season.
I think it is. I think over the fans, it's the fan favorite season overall. And like she has great moments. Like that's, she's Frankenfurter. She has River Deep Mountain High in that season. Like she's got great stuff. But as far as an actual plot line for her character, there isn't one.
Right.
But you know what I love in season 2 with Mercedes? When she and Rachel go to prom with Sam. And they pay for it because they know he can't afford it.
And then Jesse comes along.
Yeah. Oh, Jesse. That's such a nice moment.
It is so nice.
Something I do love with Mercedes, although it mostly happens off screen, is that she does finally get her due and she does get successful and good for her. It does. I do think, maybe season 2 isn't her worst season because it might be season 6. Because season 6, her whole purpose is just
like help Rachel.
Dusting off Rachel's shoulders. And that really sucks. That really sucks. What's your Mercedes Jones association?
I think it's River Deep Mountain High.
Great pick. Great pick.
What's yours?
And I'm telling you.
Can I change my pick? When everyone like stands up and is like screaming.
Mm-hmm. And then Rachel is like, game recognized game. You should sing that solo.
Yeah.
I will forever be mad. And we talked about it in that episode. So I'm not going to harp on it for too long. I love the plot line of, oh no, our set list got stolen, so we can't do these songs. I think thematically it makes sense that then Rachel comes in and saves the day with Don't Rain on My Parade. But let Mercedes take the female solo and you can't always get what you want. Everybody wins. We have the thematic closure of Rachel, our lead of the kids, saving the day and getting the ballad. But then we also keep, no, but Mercedes was supposed to have a solo at sectional, so she's still going to have a solo.
Yeah.
Come on. Mercedes Jones. All right. Are we just down to Finchel?
You want to talk about Finn first?
I think we should talk about Finn first.
Yeah. It was so surprising to me when we first started this podcast how much I loved Finn. It's just every bullied kid's dream to have the guy who you think is the most popular, you perceive as like the head honcho, be like a nice guy who like cares about you. Like, and I think that's kind of where my love of him kind of stems from. He's like such a complex, weird guy. Like when he's convinced that he got Quinn pregnant through the hot tub, and then he sings to the sonogram, and then he prays to grilled cheeses to let like Rachel let him touch his like her boobs. I just love this guy. And also like it's such a like when I think of the style of music of Glee, a part of that is like the 80s the 80s rock. And I think that's all Finn, you know. I think he's so much a part of the fabric of this show and like the music of this show to me. Like everyone's singing him a song and like dedicating their love to the leader of their group, Finn. On any other television show would be cheesy and silly, but it's Finn Hudson, so it's, to me, it's beautiful. And I just love that. I just love him. And I mean, again, like the Hummel Hudsons is one of my favorite things in the world. His relationship with Kurt, like going from what it was to what it ended up being, is like, I think, a really beautiful arc. He learns so much. And him calling Kurt gay Braveheart in his like skirt. I don't know. I have such a soft spot in my heart for Finn. I really love him. Obviously, he like is not a character without fault. Like one of the first, like maybe not the first thing I think of, but certainly the second or third is him outing Santana and then like immediately facing no consequences for it. Like it's terrible and awful. Not to mention him like calling Sue's baby the R slur. Like they just kind of like, the writers just like give him, I don't know, terrible things. And I mean, I don't know. So he's not a perfect character by any means. I would never say that. But I really, to me, he's one of my favorite characters on this show. I have a really soft spot in my heart for him. Yeah.
I love Finn Hudson. This is where me and the fandom, not like the whole fandom, but a large portion of the fandom disagree. There's a lot of Finn hate out there, and everyone's entitled to their opinion, and that's okay. What I like about Glee is messy. I like this show. Like, I don't know, that's what was so appealing to me about this show, is it's not the like Disney Channel cut and dry, like this is good and this is bad and here's the moral. It's, you know, something I've talked about a lot on this podcast. Like these are people who are losers who are very, very depressed and are trying to find like some comfort in their life. Like that's already a sad premise. And then to be like, and these people, their hearts are in the right place, but like they're people. They're making mistakes. In the first episode, our lead character is blackmailing his student to get him to join. Yeah. Like they, you know, they're trying their best in this world. And yes, of course, Finn does a lot of stuff that he shouldn't do. And yes, a lot of it, frankly, goes like unacknowledged and he faces no consequence for it. And that's like, especially because that happens a lot in real life. And especially because that happens a lot in real life with white men who are straight and even white men who are gay. So I totally get that.
Yeah.
But sometimes, and like I said, I get that and everyone has their valid opinion and you don't have to like Finn. Sometimes there are people whose hatred of Finn is so strong that I want to sit them down and go, were you never 15 years old? Did you never do dumb shit as a kid that now you're so mortified that you did?
Oh my God.
Like,
I'm
don't
up
know.
at night thinking about this.
Seriously, like, I'm sorry. This is a show about teenagers, and like teenagers have high emotions and they have poor self-control and they haven't fully learned how to properly, you know, communicate their feelings and how to properly relate to other people, and they haven't been exposed to the world at large. And teenagers say offensive stuff and teenagers make mistakes and teenagers step in it big time. And that's honestly one of the reasons I like Finn, is I like having a hero on this show who steps in it. A hero on this show who cares so deeply and is like so emotional that when his emotions get poked at, suddenly he like says something that he shouldn't have said and regrets it so much. Like Finn's fragile sense of self-worth is so compelling to me. To have this guy that is like very handsome and is the quarterback and is like quote unquote the most popular guy in school and is at the beginning of the show dating like the most popular girl in school and all this stuff. And on the inside, he's like, this is the peak of my life. I'm never going to amount to anything more than this.
I'm a loser. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm in a dead-end town. I'm going to end up working at some fast food joint, and I'm never going to leave my hometown. That is so compelling. And to see how that self-consciousness and emotionality influences him to do very good things and also influences him to do very bad things. Like, frankly, him outing Santana is a bad thing. I don't have an issue with the plot point. I have an issue with how the plot is resolved.
Yes.
Because to see Santana mercilessly bully him the whole episode until he just lets his emotions take over and say something that he should never have said. And once again, he shouldn't have said it. And if someone said that in real life, I'd be pissed. But it is a TV show. Is so fascinating to me to watch. I hate the next episode and that he is somehow a hero for it. Like, that's horrible and ridiculous. And I'm so angry at that. But I just like love that in a character. And also for him to essentially have his worst fears come true and then learn that they're not actually as bad as he thought and he can find joy and beauty in them. Like, for him to run away to the army and then absolutely fail and quit and then run away to college and then like drop out of college and end up back in his hometown, exactly what he was afraid of. Yeah. But then to learn like, oh my gosh, just because I'm in Lima doesn't mean I'm a loser. Yeah. Like, there's still so much good I can do here. And specifically, his relationship with Marley in season 4 is so special.
Totally.
Like, him having had a mentor. Also, like, there's a lot to be said about Will, but I do think the Will and Finn relationship is really special.
Yeah.
He's another person who lost his dad, who like desperately needs a male authority figure in his life. And he had this teacher who saw value in him outside of like, you're handsome and you play football, but like really saw something special about who he is as a person and what he brings to the table. And then for him to see that in Marley and start to like bring that out of her is really tender.
Yeah.
I literally will be a Finn Hudson defender to the day I die.
I totally agree.
Like, you don't have to like him, and a lot of the stuff that he did was bad, but he is a layered 3-dimensional character because of it. And I just think he is so interesting.
Yeah. I think about his relationship with Rachel, and Rachel, I mean, I can't stop talking about this. Every episode it's included in, I say the same goddamn thing, but I'm going to say it again. Like, to have a couple where someone is so sure, like has no doubt in their mind exactly who they are, exactly what they want, exactly where they're going, and exactly how to get there. And to have another person whose path is just not as clear to them. Oh my God. Like, that is holy shit. Like, someone who's already insecure that they're going to end up in the same place they've always been and be a Lima loser, kind of the path ending up being there is devastating, but also like really beautiful, because there is nothing wrong with living in your hometown, you know? Like, oh my God. And that's what I think makes the like Finchel dynamic so interesting. I'm big Finchel fan. Holy shit.
And the way that it's not, the way that it is all coming from Finn, because Rachel sees Finn as having so much value.
Yes.
It's not like she's so sure of who she is and she makes fun of him for not knowing. There's that moment in the breakup where she yells at him and she's like, I have like always been so sure that you were something special. And essentially, I literally might be making this up, but this is how I remember it.
Yeah.
But just like, you can't see that in yourself, that he just is so unsure and self-conscious and afraid of disappointing Rachel that he fully self-sabotages and lets her go. When at the end of the day, she didn't need him to be a famous actor. No. She didn't care. She loved him for Finn.
Exactly. She just wanted him to be like happy And
yeah.
he already had value. It didn't matter what he did. Oh my God. Oh
yeah.
my
And
God.
also just like a character who cannot see how much value he brings to a situation.
Yeah.
Because he is like leading everyone and making everyone feel safe in the room.
Yes.
But he's like, well, I'm not winning any awards. Well, I'm not getting into these. Like, he
Yeah.
doesn't have like a tangible, here's a receipt that shows that I have value.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sad.
So sad. And I know those people too, like, who like make you like have a special way of finding like the person who is like feeling the most on the outs and immediately making them feel welcome and feeling, you know, and also like what I said earlier, like it is every bullied kid's dream to have the like most popular guy in school think that they are cool and think that they like give a shit about them, you know? So, oh my God. I love Finn Hudson. I can't get over it. This is an ASMR podcast.
Not to not separate the actor and the character, but I do also just, from all the stories I hear, think that Corey Monteith, at least based on people's accounts of him, was all the best parts of Finn.
Yeah.
I was like listening to And That's What You Really Missed.
Yeah.
And they had Damien McGinty on, and Damien McGinty was talking about how when he first joined the show, Corey Monteith would take him to lunch all the time to like welcome him to the group and like make him feel like he was a part of the family. Oh my gosh.
That's so beautiful. Oh my God.
What's your Finn association song? Song association, pardon me.
It's probably Jesse's Girl, but it's all of them. It's also Don't Stop Believing. It's also what's the song with him and the Cheerios in the hallway? It's obviously not that one because I can't think of the name.
I love
Yes.
you. Won't you tell me
Won't
your
you tell me
name?
your name? Yeah. It's also I just love him. All of them.
What was that one?
It was also one, the U2 song that, you know, they want you. Oh, Losing My Religion.
Ooh.
I can't. He's just like one of the most well fleshed out characters on this show too. You can tell that they love him so much. So there's so much good stuff there to talk about. What's yours?
Yeah. And he brings such a sincerity to the character.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't know. My first thought is also Jesse's Girl, just because like that one's so iconic.
Yeah.
But Faithfully.
Oh. Don't
that
get me started
number
on Faithfully.
is literally so incredible.
Don't
and like
get me
really,
started on Faithfully.
you are so right. I love Finchel. The Finchel dynamic, the most popular boy in school who has no idea who he is, and the biggest loser in school who is so certain of who she is and what her future is. And like the way that they are drawn to each other and balance each other
They
out.
belong together.
For real. It's written in the stars. I'm sorry. I love Finchel. Oh my gosh. It's so good.
Which is so crazy. I mean, we'll talk about Rachel. I love Rachel. Oh my god. I love Finchel. Let's talk about Rachel.
Okay,
You kick it
I love you,
off.
Finn Hudson.
I love you, Finn Hudson.
I could talk for another 2.5 hours about Rachel Berry. My relationship with Rachel Berry is the most complicated thing about this show, and why like encapsulates, I don't know, I think is what am I trying to say? My relationship with Rachel is like as nuanced and complicated as my relationship with Glee itself, because at the end of the day, Rachel Berry is my favorite character on Glee. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, she's my favorite character on Glee. And also, so many of my biggest issues with Glee and so many things where I think Glee got wrong are because of Rachel. Yeah. Like I was saying earlier, I think a lot of the show's detriment is that they started viewing all the characters through the lens of what do they mean to Rachel, instead of just like, who are they? And they can coexist alongside her. And that took away from a lot of the characters. And on Gleek of the Week, Andrew McGuire describes it as when Rachel Berry Pokemon evolutions into Leah Michelle as the show goes on.
Seriously. Oh my God.
That's another thing, is as Rachel gets like more normal and hot and just like loses her weirdo flair, that feels like the show is losing its sense of self, and that really bothers me. But I just like, you don't get it unless you get it.
Yeah, and the girls who get it.
There is a Rachel Berry in every theater department, in every choir room, in every like dance department across the entire planet. They are everywhere. And every person in the arts has a little bit of Rachel Berry in them. Like, I have never seen a more accurate satirical take on a theater kid than Rachel Berry.
Yeah.
It's so like, this is how you know this show was written by drama kids, because it's so accurate. It's not outside looking in. It is writing about yourself.
Yeah, it's looking in a mirror.
And like, even the stuff about Rachel that is bad is why I like her, because I only don't like it when the show pretends it's good. That's the thing.
Yes.
I don't like it when Rachel is bad and the show's pretending she's not. But when Rachel is bad and the show is telling us that Rachel is bad, I love that stuff, because like I said, I like the show to be a mess, and I like having a protagonist who I care so deeply about, and I can see how much she's hurting, and I can empathize with her and see where those feelings are coming from. But I can also be like, but that's crazy that you did that, and you should not have done that. Like, that's so fun to watch. It's so compelling. And I think she is one of, if not, I guess maybe Santana is the most complicated character on the show to me, but she might be as complicated as Santana to me.
Well, I mean, Rachel is everything. She can be your least favorite character and your favorite character, because she is a million different things on this show, and she spends about 3 times the amount of screen time on this show as anyone else.
That's so true.
You know?
But like, Santana and Rachel are both very two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
They are girls who project excessive self-confidence to hide a feeling that something is wrong with them. And whereas Santana is her sexuality, Rachel, it is the mindset that nothing she has to offer is of value except for her voice.
Yeah.
And so she just acts like she's better than everyone. We've talked about this at length, but like, she needs to have a solo, not because she wants to sing, but because if she doesn't get that solo,
of her self-worth,
it means she's bad. It means she's wrong and disgusting and she's garbage. And so she will do anything to get that solo, because if she doesn't get it, she cannot handle the way she feels afterwards.
Exactly. She's like Tinkerbell Finn. She genuinely needs applause to live.
She needs applause to live. Exactly. And that's just so heartbreaking to watch, and also like so relatable to watch. And oh my gosh, she's so compelling. I love Rachel.
Yeah. I love Rachel too. I think my feelings are also very complicated about her, just because I think I've learned too much about this show in general. You know, like hearing what I know of Ryan Murphy and Leah Michelle's relationship, it like sullies a part of Rachel that so much of her that I love is the underdogness. Like, I was the Rachel Berry of my high school theater department. I also like, you know, was there a lead in a play I got because my teacher felt bad for me? Maybe. But also, like, I don't know, there's just so much to Rachel I stop relating to when she Pokemon evolutions into Leah Michelle.
Oh, yeah.
You know? But Rachel, she contains multitudes. I love Rachel. Like, Rachel in season 1 and season 2, like, and especially like Rachel being seen by Finn and Rachel being seen by the other members of this club and Rachel like having worth in these ways and, you know, learning to like make friends with even Kurt, you know. I just love her. I've got so much love for her. Again, though, like, all of my feelings like kind of come with like a grain of salt of, I know too much about this show to fully enjoy some of the things, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's also like because this show is being written like the calls coming from inside the house, the show will show too much empathy for Rachel.
Yeah.
Where they're like, or, oh, our poor theater nerd, like her struggles are so bad. Whereas these popular kids, their struggles are like whatever because they're popular. And then it's like, no, Rachel's senior year was like she didn't get into her first choice college. Quinn's senior year was like she got hit by a car. Like, that's worse. It's just like they really, really, and really have. Yeah. What were you going to say? Like,
Quinn won prom queen, but Rachel got the pity prom queen. And I think, like, that says all you need to know.
Yeah, the show throws pity parties for her all the time, and it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating because I'm like, I can feel bad for her and see like how sad she is, but we don't need to enable this behavior.
No. And I mean, like, even like I said, 2009, them being like, I don't know. But again, the enabling of the behavior is crazy. And the letting you know every 3 episodes that, like, this girl is sad and she deserves everything and everything she's ever done wrong actually doesn't count, so leave her alone, please, is crazy.
Frankly, I don't agree with 2009 at all. I do agree in the sense that they have Terry Schuster say, give it to whichever one you feel the worst for, because they're trying to, you know, last minute apologize that they didn't use Amber Riley enough, and that irritates me. But the actual concept of the reason Rachel was featured so much is because, frankly, Will realized that she had no sense of self-worth. I actually really love.
And you know what? Like I said, I agree. I think that has happened to my ass. You know, like, I think that that's a real tactic that, like, arts teachers use. Like,
yeah, it's like this student, they really have no life outside of this. So, like, I need to throw him a bone, help him out.
She also sent Sunshine to a crack house. Like,
and I'm all for it.
She's kind of evil. It's kind of fun. I just wish they would have leaned into her being kind of evil. You know, where it's like Rachel will send someone to a crack house. She's not all nice. Like, let's not pretend like she is the martyr of this television show. She can be multifaceted in that way. She can send Sunshine to a crack house.
Yes. Oh, I so agree. And that's what gets hard in season 3 and onwards when we start to feel really, really sad for her all the time.
Yeah.
Her Pokemon evolution into Lea Michele, like, there's still Rachel stuff I good.
Like. Andrew, shout out.
There's still Rachel stuff I like later on. They still have like lovely self-aware moments. They still have lovely theater moments when she sings with Brody at that tiny bar. And then she's like, oh my gosh, this is my off Broadway debut. Like, that's so funny. But I don't know. I'm really trying to figure out where I stand with Rachel post high school. Frankly, I think the be all and end all of it is that she doesn't struggle enough. She has a fairy godmother come down and take away all of her like social awkwardness, take away like all of her bizarre fashion sense, and then take away anyone who doesn't believe in her.
Yeah.
And suddenly just like everything pans out. And it's just hard to watch a character who is so annoying and so grating be rewarded. Because I feel like, at least I would hope, the Rachel Berrys of the world, it like gets beaten out of you as you get older and life kind of beats you down.
Yeah.
And like
oh my God.
it sucks to have life beat you down, but also like it's for your own good. And so to see, because like I still see a lot of myself now in Rachel Berry, but mostly I'm like, I look at myself in high school and like, woof.
Yeah.
But like life beats some of the more extreme stuff out of me. And it's just annoying to see that her never go through that process.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. And she does, as a character, become less grating later. But like, I would like to see, I don't know, I want to see some struggle.
Yeah.
I want to see her fight.
Yeah. Rachel
Berry. I love that moment in season 1 when Quinn is trying to get Kurt to give Rachel a makeover. You know, evil Quinn's got her master plan because Kurt will sabotage the makeover because he's in love with Finn. And so then Finn won't like Rachel, whatever. But when she's convincing him, she's like, she somehow dresses like an old lady and a toddler at the same time.
And then she's in the blue
Did you see what she's wearing
suit
today? She's wearing a power suit. Like, that's so funny. And that episode in the comeback in season 2 when Rachel pays Brittany to make her fashion popular.
Yes.
But then everyone just thinks that Brittany came up with it. And they're all wearing headbands and wet reindeer sweaters and are like, Rachel, what are you talking about? This is Brittany's style. That's so funny. I love this girl.
Yeah, me too. I got love for her. But I also have hatred for her, and maybe some of that stems from my own self-hatred. And also a lot of other valid reasons.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What's your Rachel song?
My Rachel song is Faithfully for sure.
Heck yeah.
I can't get over it. Like, she is difficult, but boy, can she sing. Like, I love that. It
is like face melting. She sounds so incredible on that song. Oh my gosh.
What's yours?
I think mine is maybe, what is that song called? When You Hold Me Like This, the Celine Dion song. All Coming Back to Me Now. All Coming Back to Me Now. That's what that song is called. I think it's like maybe All Coming Back to Me Now. I do also like obviously think of Don't Rain on My Parade.
Yeah, I think of that one too.
But maybe All Coming Back to Me Now.
That's
Rachel
a good
Berry. You know, like Run Joey Run. Like there's just so many specific things that Rachel does that you wouldn't think of that unless you had lived it. Stuff like they're at sectionals and Harmony is singing Buenos Aires and the camera turns to Rachel and she's lip syncing along with her.
But she also like looks pissed.
Yes. And then stuff like Sunshine Corazon announces she's going to be singing a song from the movie Dreamgirls and Rachel goes, actually Broadway musical first. Like that is so specific. And then the entirety of Run Joey Run. Yeah. This girl.
You had to be there.
Like you cannot make me hate this girl, but also you can because I do hate this girl. But this girl being like, I need to reinvent my image so that I am seen as like the sexiest, hottest, sluttiest girl at this school. And she creates an iMovie music video to like a garbage song from the 1970s that is filmed in her school hallway during passing period with kids walking in front of her.
And a sex offender in it.
Yes, that is also true. That is also unfortunately true. But it is comedy. And like the iMovie like star wipes that happen and how much she is overacting. Yeah. And I'm always obsessed with the Rachel Barbie hands. Yeah. Amazing. So funny and so specific and real. I love Rachel Berry. She is one of the best things about this show. And then also probably the worst thing about this show in the sense that she causes about 90% of the problems with it.
Oh, yeah. And you know what?
Alas.
She contains multitudes.
She does. She contains multitudes. But man, her highs are high, high, high.
Mm-hmm. And her lows, like I'm scraping my ass on the floor. They're low.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Woof.
Our first batch of characters. Can't wait to do the next one.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye.
OG New Directions.
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably mention you in passing as we talk about other characters and how they relate to
I can't
you.
believe we thought we could do all the characters this episode.
We're so brave. I'm proud of us for being that delusional. Well, that's a wrap on our OG New Directioners. Tune in next week. We're going to be talking about some adults, some replacement New Directioners. We're going to talk about some more characters. Also, next week, we're going to start reading some of your thoughts about saying goodbye to the podcast. So if you want to send in thoughts, send them to recoveringleak@gmail.com, baby. Thank you so much for attending part 2 of our eulogy. Part 3 will be out next week. And frankly, we did not realize that the characters were going to take this long. So I don't even know how many parts there are going to be.
Maybe a million.
Maybe a million. Thank you so much for joining us. You can find bonus content on our Patreon, patreon.com/recoveringgleek. Here's some bonus episodes. This month we're talking about Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen for the 20th anniversary.
Teenage Drama Queen.
Eliza rocks. And now we're going to do a super quick, super silly shout out to our best friends of the podcast and then call it a night.
Yeah, I am nervous about doing this because it is 1 a.m. Should I do it ASMR style?
Do it ASMR style.
Okay. Here is a big ASMR. Thank you to Nikki, Brianna, Jasmine, Holly, JP, Tanya, Eric, Saul and Alex, Caden, Kirsten, Chris, Catherine, Mateo, Prob, Cowboy Emoji, Julia, Riley, Yanula, Haley, Amy, M, C, David, Anna, Billy, Jacob, Andrew, Christine, Tara, AJ, Hannah, Kayleen, Venus, Kelsey, Abigail, Blake, Magician, Drag Queens, Rachel, Paige, Allison, Natalie, Boo, Gwen, Sabrina, Kylie, Ruth, Megan, Alina, Ashlyn, Taylor, Audrey, Alexandra, Kylie, Dustin, Sarah, Azza, Jaden, That Bitch, Kira, Clem, Paul, Vicky, Hannah, Gemma, oh my god, Gemma, Evan, Keely, Justice, Sophia, Nicole, Nicola, Willie, Evie, Sarah, Cameron, Danica, Shalane, Lucas, Diagonal Toast, Eli, Mary, Kay, Asparagus Squid 103, Brittany, Meg, Ava, Carolina, Reagan, Meredith, Miss Slytherin, Hannah, Calorhio, Katie Can Finally Afford, Patreon, Pee Pee Poo Poo, Josette, Tori, Amy, Marcus Lowe, Ethan McKenna, Danielle, Brisa, Maggie, Madeline, Tiffany, Alani, Rachel, Destiny, Elise, Kieran, Diane, Ella Rain, Jeanette, Benjamin, Suzanne, Blanton, Ben, Alice, B, Bam, Sam, Caden, Katie, Paige, Nadia, Savannah, Fadia, Meadow, Nicole, Allie, Jackson, Tori, Golly, Caitlin, Katie, Garbage, Maddie, Abby, Kodiak, Kirsten, Annie's Review Time, Story, Natasha, Liz, Eileen, Mariah, Manuel, Mallory, Amina, Hannah, and Matilda, Rebecca, Libby, Eve, Jordan, Andrew, Elizabeth, Christina, Dell, Sarah, Ari, Liam, Juliana, Elijah, Stephanie, Haley, Raphael, Marissa, Ren, Taylor, Kimberly, Emily, Carolyn, Frankie, Dana, Chase, Finley, Matthew, Jocelyn, Margaret, Despina, Sarah, Josie, Nash, Aaron, Alana, Marilyn, Marin, Emily, Han, Phoebe, Caitlin, Megan, Rachel, Aria, Jeremy, Beatrice, Eva, Haley, Emily, Anaya, Michelle, Lauren, Britt, Audrey, Marcus, Lisa, I am for Jacqueline, Tori, Mallory, Holy, Ivan, Meredith, Phoebe, Hannah, Laszlo, Ray, Alyssa, Charlie, Lily, Yanula, Sam, Jennifer, Aubrey, Steph, Muppet Baby Cat, Kelsey, Haley, Tiffany, Emily, Leah, Verena, Kelsey, Isabel, Amira, Thomas, Chucho, Cyrus, Brittany, Victoria, Aaliyah, Naomi, Haley, Robbie, Andy, Kenzie, Rhiannon, Ashley, Roman, Tara, Michael, Casey, Katie, Will, Emily, Freddie, Emma, Sinead, Emma, Allison, Turtles, stop. I really got mixed up there. I was like mixing them up in my mind. I like saw them and then I was saying the other one. I saw them and I said, and I had to go.
I know. I saw you say that out of order.
Excuse me.
Also, I think you called Elizabeth Emily, so I'm just going to throw out Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Yeah, you're good. Your time is 2:43.
Oh my God, everyone, I really killed it.
Thank you for coming to our special Valentine's funeral eulogy. Love you so much. Go spread some postmortem glee. Also, go spread some love. Happy Valentine's. And Valentine's doesn't have to be romantic love. You can show platonic love as well.
Absolutely. If you don't have a Valentine, you're our Valentine this year. Here is a Valentine's kiss on your forehead if you accept. Love you guys. Bye. Sleep well.
Thank you for listening to Recovering Gleek. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at recoveringgleek_podcast. If you liked our podcast, be sure to leave a review. And tell your friends, please.